Well, hello there, everyone. It's Mike from the Hardcover Comic here. Today, we're going to talk about comics for new readers. If you've got someone you're wanting to get someone into comic books, you're wanting to get someone that maybe was into comic books, you want to bring them back in, reel them back in. I'm going to talk about some titles today, specifically about DC Comics. We're going to do Marvel. We're going to do Image. We're going to do a bunch of other ones as well if it comes to it. But for now, I wanted to just focus on DC. DC is what I'm most well versed in. And I think I have some decent starter choices for new readers. I was a new reader at some point. I've introduced people to comic books myself. So of course, I think there are some good suggestions I can offer out in case you're trying to coerce someone into the comic book realm. Of course, we all try to do that because we love it very much and we think a lot of other people could love it as well. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we get into that, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. This is what we do regularly. Overviews, reviews, hauls, top 10s, top 5s, suggested readings, recommendations, rereading stuff, whatever it may be, whatever comes to our crazy minds that week. We do also have a Patreon where you get early access to these videos, 5 to 7 days, what we shoot for. At the end of every month, we do also give away an omnibus, an absolute edition, multiple deluxe editions, new releases, essentially. A brand new release is what you'll get for as little as $1 a month. That's it. $1 gets you a chance. For every dollar you give, you get more chances to win. That's how it works. Pretty simple. We do also give away Marvel digital codes on there. But without further ado, let's dive in to DC recommendations for new readers. Well, the first problem I had with this is how am I going to divide this, right? Of course, there are a lot of amazing DC titles, a lot of fantastic titles, and hopefully I'm not too wrong with my suggestions here, but I thought I'd break it up. Of course, with DC, you got to talk about the Trinity, the big three, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. With Batman, my place to go whenever I need to recommend a new book to somebody is Long Halloween. I mean, Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, this is one of the first comics I read when it came to Batman. It introduces you to you get a high-level introduction to a plethora of Batman's rogues, most of his rogue gallery, at least the more interesting characters in his rogue gallery. You get a cartoony, comic-y style that really draws you into the comic book medium. Very widescreen, very cinematic, which also brings you into it more. It's not very text-heavy, not a lot of exposition. It's very modern in its way of storytelling as opposed to, like, you know, Silver Age kind of storytelling. Really well done. Amazing book. Of course, with Long Halloween, you've got Dark Victory as well. I do also recommend that. But Long Halloween really is such an easy way to get someone to start wanting to read more Batman and learning about more villains, more of Batman's history and learning more about the richness of the character. Can't recommend it enough. Another Batman title, of course, is Batman Year One by Frank Miller. Batman The Dark Knight Returns as well, another fantastic Frank Miller title. Those were also two titles I first read when I was getting into comics, into Batman specifically. Revolutionary titles, you know, they're great storytelling that still holds up in this day and age, despite the fact that they're, I think, like 2 decades old at this point. Amazing stuff, incredible artwork in both stories, slightly dated but still fantastic. And of course, there's serious Batman stories that have been adapted into films in one way or another, not, you know, verbatim, but in one way or another. So there's that familiarity that people will have with the character as getting into it. And of course, if you're looking to get someone younger into comics, or you know someone loved Batman the Animated Series and you think that will be the way to draw them in, Batman Adventures, Batman and Robin Adventures, those, you cannot go wrong with those. If you know someone who liked the Batman Animated Series show, they will absolutely devour these comics. They're fantastic, so true to the show. It feels like a spiritual continuation. Can't recommend Batman Adventures enough. Alright, so we'll talk about Superman next. Superman, of course, is kind of a tough character. He's had a few reboots, a few sort of origin stories that I would recommend. But the first place I will always send someone who's looking to get into Superman is John Byrne's run. John Byrne's run is so excellent. He sort of retconned Superman, gave us a slightly different Lex Luthor who then changes. Really fun stuff. Little touches, again, Superman shaving in the mirror, little things like that. John Byrne did a really fun job of exploring the Superman character, his relationship to other characters, sort of bringing the cosmic and the sort of street level violence and problem solving that Superman needs to go through. Really well done, spectacular artwork all the way throughout. There are new hardcovers coming out collecting the run, so that's a great way to get people into hardcover comic collecting as well. Can't recommend that enough. Another run that you're going to be able to introduce people to physically soon is the Superman by Peter J. Tomasi run. Of course, there are the Rebirth Deluxe editions, but if you want to get someone into hardcovers and omnis in general, the upcoming omnibus for Peter Tomasi's Superman is highly recommended. A brilliant Superman story. Of course, it's going to be slightly confusing to some people because you have to deal with the fact that Superman is with Lois. They have a kid, but it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. For me personally, I was also, you know, not too aware of what was happening with John, sort of picking things up along the way. It's different, but it's so compelling. It's so undeniably well written, and with the artwork by Patrick Gleason is jaw-dropping. Jorge Jimenez is in there as well, Doug Mahnke. Amazing top tier creators working on a top tier character. Can't recommend that enough. And some miniseries I would recommend is things like Superman for All Seasons, which is Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale. Fantastic story, more so about Clark Kent than Superman himself. And then Superman's Secret Identity, which was a great story by Kurt Busiek with artwork by Stuart Immonen. Fantastic 3 issues, sort of again focusing more on Clark Kent becoming Superman. A really great way to fall in love with the character and understand the flaws of the character, because a lot of the flaws with the character of Superman lie with the Clark Kent side of him. Brilliant stories, can't recommend them enough for new readers. Wonder Woman honestly got a little tricky for me. All right, got a little tricky for me. There are some great origin stories. There's one by Jill Thompson, the True Amazon, Wonder Woman, the True Amazon. Fantastic. It's great for a younger audience as well. Very beautifully painted story. It's almost like a storybook, but it is a comic. So that's a great way to sort of get an origin story for Diana. The problem with Wonder Woman is that she's been sort of retconned and modified so many times, but really the place you got to go is George Perez's run on Wonder Woman. He did the equivalent to Wonder Woman of what Byrne did to Superman. He sort of revitalized her with the Greek mythology, brought all the sort of turned it into a Game of Thrones style storyline, which worked really well, which Brian Azzarello did too. Brian Azzarello did as well. With the New 52, we saw a reboot of Wonder Woman, sort of a twist on her origin story. Amazing artwork all the way throughout. There's an omnibus and 2 absolute editions. There's omnis for the Perez run, an absolute edition coming out that collects part of Perez's run as well. Both runs have amazing artwork, so if you're looking to get someone into Wonder Woman, I would recommend something like Wonder Woman Year One by Greg Rucka, which was a recent story, again, sort of going through her origin. Beautiful artwork by Nicola Scott. There is an oversized hardcover for that. Wonder Woman One True Amazon by Jill Thompson. The Brian Azzarello run from the New 52 and the George Perez Wonder Woman runs, in no particular order, they're all great places to start, in my opinion. And with the JLA, I'm going to have to, it's kind of tough again because I don't want to recommend Silver Age, even though Silver Age is a great place to start. It's just tough to get someone into comics, especially in this day and age when they need to read through the exposition and the pages and pages of dialogue. Nothing against Silver Age, tough to get new readers through Silver Age, especially if you're trying to get someone younger into comics. So with JLA, I got to sort of go outside the bounds of what would be expected. Of course, the Jeff Johns run with the New 52, beautiful place to start. You get sort of a retcon thing. The Justice League is meeting for the first time. Amazing stuff, beautiful artwork. Might get slightly confusing towards the Dark Side War stuff if you don't know everything about New Gods, things like that. But I think what Jeff Johns does is he keeps your appetite and your curiosity fed. Really well done. Can't recommend that enough. I will also just say JLA from 1997. Again, Grant Morrison can use sort of exotic ideas and weird characters, but I think if you just go into it with the mindset, or you tell the person who's going to be reading the book, go into it with the mindset of everyone is just figuring out what's going on at the same time, and you can piece it together. I think Morrison actually did a pretty good job of making it very new reader friendly with his JLA run in 97, so that's also a great starting point. And the third starting point, I'll say DC's New Frontier by Darwin Cook. Beautiful. You get to learn about all the characters. It's set in a different era, in the Silver Age sort of era in the 60s, but it works. Stunning artwork, amazing story, beautiful book. Love it to death. Now, I'm going to toss out some general recommendations for other characters, characters that I think are fantastic, that, there are great runs to introduce new people to them through. Primarily things like Aquaman by Jeff Johns, can't recommend that enough. Teen Titans by Jeff Johns as well, great place to get people into Teen Titans. Likewise goes for New Teen Titans by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, great place for new readers. Since we're talking about Geoff Johns, his Green Lantern run is fantastic as well. Again, for a little bit, it might be a bit confusing, but that was where I started with Green Lantern. I was able to pick everything up. I was able to figure everything out. I think anyone else could. If I could do it, anyone else can. Another great character, Green Arrow. Two of the runs I would recommend because they're similar to the show. If you know someone who's watched the show that you think would enjoy the comics, the Kevin Smith run is fantastic. Great place for new readers to start. And the Jeff Lemire New 52 run, brilliant. Very similar to the show, explores the island, explores Shadow, all these characters. Really well done, amazing artwork in both runs as well, amazing writing, amazing stories. So there are a handful, a good number of DC titles worth checking out to get people started. Again, we don't want to get too involved and too flavorful with too many things. I would also recommend Animal Man by Grant Morrison if you know someone who's into more exotic ideas, I'd say. That was one of the books I recommended to my friend to get him into comics, and he was floored. He read it in 2 days. He couldn't stop. Huge twist at the end, blew his mind. But what do you guys think? Let us know down in the comments below what stories you would recommend for new readers. You're trying to get someone into comics here, okay? We're talking about young people, older folks, whatever it may be. Let us know down in the comments below. Of course, there are a lot of titles that can be listed here. I hit as many as I could within a reasonable time frame. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Subscribe, check out our Patreon hardcover comic giveaways, early access to our videos, and Marvel digital codes. And we have an email as well if you're interested in merch, dust jacket designs, graphic cover designs for your custom binds. If you have custom binds, send us pictures. We want to see them, and we're going to promote them and feature them on the channel this year. This was Mike from the Hardcover Comic. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Until next time, as always, you stay classy, Internet.